Hello and a very warm welcome to another episode of the Property Lifestyle Mastery podcast. I'm Jackie Tomes, and on this show we are talking about creating a property business that runs without you so that you can travel the world thanks to property cash flow. Now, an important part of investing in property is making sure that you've got the finance in place to be able to go and do that. And we've done that by working with investors. And it's really important that you create really good win-win solutions with your investors and that they are winning out of all of the great work that you're doing to create freedom. And ultimately, some of them piggyback on our freedom as well to be able to leverage the work that we do to create their own version of freedom. And that's really what today's session is about. It's about getting it out of just being about you and about thinking about others, the people that you are there to serve, whether that is your investors, your tenants, or anyone else in your life that you are providing a service to. I think it's very easy to get lost in the weeds about all the stuff that we are trying to do to help ourselves, and the minute you do that, you lose sight of how you are helping others, and then everything gets really rather hard. So today's about how you can step up and serve and put serving others at the heart of what you do, without overcommitting yourself. So allow me to introduce Dom and Dave.
Hello, Dom.
Hello, Dave.
Here we are today, and we're going to be talking today about something that has become so apparent in our business, in our operations, and I think every year that we've operated, this has become clearer and clearer as to how important it is to get your head around this topic, which is pretty much to say the business work best with thinking how you're serving others rather than focusing on what you want for yourself. And that concept of serving others being at the core of everything you do pretty much can solve most problems, can create your scalability, and makes you much more profitable. So that's the topic of today's conversation.
Awesome. It's such an important one because we are all brilliant, aren't we, at thinking about things from our point of view, going, this is what I want. This is what I want to create. I want more money. I want this. I want my customers to do that. And actually, that's not the place to start. The place to start is to go, and like entrepreneurs start, where's the problem? What is the problem I'm here to fix? Because that's what all businesses are. Yeah. They're there to provide a solution to the problem that exists in society and solve that problem for people, whether it's a problem of not feeling worthy and therefore buying a Rolex watch because it makes me feel good, or whether it's food because I need to eat. It's always about solving a problem. So if we can start with the customer's point of view to go, what is it the customer really wants? Not just what they want, but what do they need? Because we've got to give them and talk in terms of what they want first. And then we need to deliver what we know as the expert, what they need. Obviously, this is particularly in the service industry rather than product. But, if we're the expert and we're selling our expertise, talk in terms of the language that they use, and then give them through our delivery, give them what they need. We know they need to succeed. So is there a method for doing this that we use?
Well, yeah. I think what's become clearer and clearer to us is that it's really funny. Jackie came from a market research background. Her career prior to property was in market research. So she was obviously had a penchant for this side of the industry and understanding that you need to learn first, and that's actually how you design your product offering. Now, in her research days, she worked through various different aspects of the same company. She went through operations in that company. She became a qualitative researcher, and she did the questions with people of the members of the public to ask all the questions and curated that. But she also then had to present to large companies like Nokia and Vertu about phones, what were the public saying they wanted, versus what these people are actually offering, as it were. And it's amazing when you look at it from when she's been through all of that with such massive companies to see that she would often present to the client, the big firm, the big company, this is what people are saying they want. And then the big firm would just be like, yeah, but we're not going to do that. And enough, she's inevitably seen that they generally went out of business soon after that, or went out of business, but they started to lose, offering price. And I think this is where Apple have dominated in the phone industry, especially, but they've dominated on the basis of creating something that is purely customer centered. Only it's just purely something that's easy and wonderful to use as an end consumer. That's all they focused on for years and years and years. And you can see where that's led. So I guess this brings me to our methodology, how we approach business, and both our investors or our people we mentor or whomever we work with. It always stems from a point of looking out there and saying, okay, here's what I can do. I'm a property investor. I can buy properties, and I can help other people to make more of their money. Okay, that's my starting point. It's just a basic, vague concept. But the first job is to say, okay, so if I can buy properties and make more people's money, I go firstly to the people. I do that market research, start talking to them and say, okay, so what are you looking for? Like, what kind of returns do you need? Like, what are your pain points? Where is it that it's hurting you at the moment? What can't you get? What do you want more of? And you really do proper research, and you talk to lots of people, and you actually say, you build a picture of literally the avatar. This is where the concept of an avatar comes from in marketing. You've got to build a picture of that person who you're going to be approaching with your product and say, here's all the things they're struggling with. Here's the problems they've got. We call it in our industry, we call it a job to be done. What is the job that they're trying to achieve that you can do for them? What is their biggest pain points? And then secondary to that, you've got to start finding out what are their belief systems, what are the things that they're kind of holding them back that are wrong. And I think that's where you, Dom, started this by saying you sell them what they think they want, you sell them what they're saying they want. That's the pain points, the problems they say they have. But then you also find out their belief system, so that you can then say, okay, well, that's what they're thinking. They think that that's a problem, but I know that's not a problem. So I also have to then maybe alter that belief system, or I know that once they're on as a client, I'm going to then actually give them what they really need underneath, which right now they don't realize because their belief system is wrong. So this picture building, let's say that's the starting point of any product, and we are products. If you're trying to sell a service or a financial thing or an investment, you are a product, and you just need to build the picture of what the other person wants before you start putting together the package, the packagization of your product and how you're going to present it. Because you could present your product, your investments, or your service, or your mentorship, or whatever, in thousands or infinite different ways. So you've got to pick and choose the things that are going to make the most impact with that person, and that creates the ability for them to want to buy it. But equally, it completely changes what you end up offering them. From my experience, you would, if you didn't do that research, you would offer one thing, and you do the research and you're like, oh, they didn't want that, but they did want some of this. Oh, I'll change it then. And you do that 100 different ways, and suddenly your offering is entirely different. And now you're in a place of service because you're creating something with huge value to that person.
Which is where you build up your self-esteem. When you're of huge service to other people, you feel better about yourself. You see that you're delivering value. You see you're delighting your customers, and that makes you feel good, and that builds your confidence and your self-esteem. And then, of course, as you build your self-esteem, you feel better, and you feel as though you're of more value to society, to your customers, and as a result, you then tend to start making more money. It's the law of manifestation. The law of attraction is your self-esteem. If you want to attract more money, you have to build up your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, you're delivering value, that's when you'll attract more money, which is why it's so important to get it right. But so often, people start a business, and the first 2 years, kind of famously, entrepreneurs and mentors always say, the first 2 years is just working out what the hell you're doing, and what it is that you're really delivering to your customers. And that's why often it takes that long. But actually, we can fast track it now, and there's knowledge out there that you can gain from working with a mentor, with a coach, that means that you can fast track that 2 years and actually get the right offer out there quickly to attract the right customers, and then refine on the delivery so that you're systemizing it, so that you're not spending too much time. Because that's the next step, is once you understood what they want, then how much time effectively are you spending delivering that? Because if you're spending too much time delivering that, you could burn out, too much energy, you burn out, and then get resentful, then it goes back down again. But what we need to do is, as we grow, as we get good at delivering to our customers, and building up that self-esteem and that additional money is then systemizing the business as a second step rather than the first step, so that we can scale it in a way that is sustainable, that it delivers better quality to the customer at scale. I mean, that's what growth is, right? It's repetition of that product or service at scale. And then you can really ramp up the income because you've got scalability in it.
Yeah, I think you've picked up on a few things there that I wanted to jump on. So
Yeah.
number one is value, right? You've got to be bringing value, and if you're bringing value, you've got to realize yourself what that value is you're bringing. You've got to actually believe in that value, which means that you then have to charge an equivalent to that value. So if you are bringing a great service that is worth a lot of value to the customer, then you've got to realize that and say, I am worthy of that money, and you've got to charge for it. Because I think one of the big downfalls we have is if you go down this service-based route and you start thinking, I want to serve, and I don't want to think about just me and my needs. If you're of a naturally charitable bent as a human being, you can end up just giving too much, and you can end up serving to the point of you're just not charging enough for what you're doing. And you're giving energy, time, information, knowledge, and you're getting something back for it. But because you're not valuing yourself well enough, your business will be unprofitable. And we've been there at points in different aspects of our services. We've definitely created products that are like that, and we've had to identify it and realize that it's our fault. We're giving too much. We can't afford to live like that, to be like that, because there's a commercial aspect to it. You have to run a business that's profitable, and you have to find a way that both parties win out of it. And the problem is, if you give, you are not a winner. You actually become a loser. It drains you, and you end up at burnout, right? And we've been there as well. And like, because we're obviously I'm naturally inclined to just give whatever the other party needs. So if you are that way inclined, you've got to make sure, you've got clear scope of where you make these decisions in advance, clear scope of where your service stops. Like, what is it you are giving? And as much as possible, hold to that scope. And I know I'm guilty of this. I fall outside of that scope a lot. I just see someone's need, and I just drop to the side. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll solve that for you. So yeah, I know that problem. And if you're that way inclined, you've just got to be really strong on the other side of the coin, which is just to be really clear that you are got to charge enough for the scope you're giving. We've covered at the beginning, like marketing is all about basically working out what the other person's pain points are, finding out what their problems are, and then basically making it clear in your offering, in what you're putting out there, that you can solve that pain point. That will attract them to you, because they'll basically hear your marketing, and they'll say, oh gosh, yeah, this person knows me, and I should probably get in contact, because it sounds like they could really solve something for me. Sales is about then just presenting that to them in the format that they're wanting, right? So they actually see your product, and it all speaks to them as like, so definitely exactly what they need. So I feel like the sales aspect is just an extension of the marketing. And if you can get that feeling together, marketing leading perfectly into sales, there's no tactics required. You don't have to hard sell someone. You literally just put on a plate, this is what we do. And because you've presented it, you productized it right for that person, and it's serving their needs, they turn around and go, that's exactly what I need. I'll have it.
Exactly. Done. Yes. Exactly.
Simple. But what we've gotten to is operations. So your business operations have to be efficient enough. And if you go down the service route that we've just discussed, you get to a point where you will get flabby, because you'll keep saying, yes, I can do that, I can serve that, I can do that for you. And in some way or another, you're going to keep looking to the other person and thinking you know what they need and giving it to them, and like trying, and you're going to make loads of decisions that make a big, heavy, flabby operation of a business, which is inefficient. So let's take this service concept to that and say, actually, we know our clients have specific pain points and specific jobs to be done. Let's make sure those are covered. And let's make sure that if we're going to do anything for our client, or in any way through our product, that we're always constantly in communication and asking. Because if you just keep that communication going, say, oh, how important is this to you? Do you really want this? Is this something you actually need? You start to find out that some of the things you're doing, decisions you're making, are literally just because you think they need them. It's your belief system. You're making choices, put stuff in, make effort, time, spend out on team to do stuff, just because you think it's right, not because the other side wants it. They could be like, I'll take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And what a waste.
Absolutely. Oh, it's nuts. And another thing that entrepreneurs do, property people in property, is create an amazing system without even having tested it in the market. And so part of this is absolutely, we've got to think about it from their point of view, but you will have to refine it in the market. It's never going to be perfect. So don't spend too long creating a system and process and everything else without testing it in the market. You'll refine it and make it better. And as Stephen Covey would say, sharpen the saw whilst you're out there. Get out there, test it, keep going, refine it, make it better. And actually, that's a fun process. Is like we do, right? Every quarter or more often, we're thinking about what else we can do to improve our service and delivery, and make it more efficient for us, but also more efficient for the customer, and more valuable to the customer. And
because what I found with that improvement process is generally when I have those conversations, and they don't take very long. With my finance clients, for example, I do it once a quarter. Every single quarter, I'm sitting on a 15-minute call with just simple questions. And all I'm trying to ascertain is what thing isn't working well enough that we should do better next quarter. And as long as we focus on that one thing the next quarter, I know they're going to be happier. And that means that's where all the attention goes. And then we know that other things, and then we might find, like, we'll ask questions about what things they're not worried about, what things they're kind of getting they don't really need, so that we can remove those. And that way we're constantly adjusting, and we don't just keep presenting something we think they want when they don't want it. And it's a waste of everyone's time. So that was one thing. And another thing similar along the way of operations, I know we've made this mistake around investor updates and things like that. I think communication with investors and with anyone else is key. It's really part of keeping everyone happy. But if you just say to yourself, I need to communicate with them, I need to do regular updates, you might find yourself in a position like we were, where Jackie and I were monthly, every single month, doing big updates. And we've been through different phases of this, like, points where we've been over achieving, over serviced, delivering a monthly update with full descriptions and everything, and videos, and actually, because we didn't go and find out, we didn't ask how long. And actually, there might be some investors, you might be doing projects and giving weekly updates, and actually they don't want any updates. You're just like, overdoing it because they want to be hands-free and they don't actually want to hear about it. It's for me, like, finding that balance of what you actually do is the key to becoming efficient. Definitely. And making sure you're delivering the right thing. And you're going to go both ways. Sometimes it might be too little, sometimes it might be too much, but you've just got to keep asking and trying. That's the tweaking, refining.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think of two little stories here. Don't project onto other people you think they need, because often, well, not often, always, people have an idea of you and what you do, and you're actually, and so the case study here is Levi's. Back in, was it 60s or 70s, they brought in a big famous marketing chap to big up and grow the brand of Levi jeans. And they found that there was this type of person who wore the jeans, of men, sort of 30s, 40s. And so they got them in, and they did they called it when it's a group of market research group. And they asked them, they said, hey, we've got these jeans, you love them, which is great. We're going to do a suit. Levi's are going to launch a suit that you can wear at work. And everyone's like, no. Why would we Levi's do jeans? Why would we wear a suit? And the guy was adamant. So despite the market research, he said, no, we're going to launch the suit. Let's launch the suit. Cost them like $50 million or something like that. It was the worst thing they ever did. And famously now is that you do not project onto your customer what you think they want next. Discover from them what they want next, rather than going, no, this is definitely gonna make them all the biggest, this is going to be the best thing that they get, because actually that's not always the case. So
it's so true. And quite often you're shocked to the response you get when you actually ask the questions. If you ask them right, it can be shocking. Oh my god, I had no idea that's what they wanted. And we've been there as well. I'm just like, and I guess the other side of this as well is, you've got to have a continual replicable product, and you don't want to be constantly swinging it, changing it between every single client. So you have got to make some decisions about what are the common themes between clients, what are the common themes, and who are you going after as a general customer base. That's one of the reasons you can't be too broad spectrum, because you can't create a product that is clear and powerful, that serves everyone. Not really, because everyone has different requirements. You know, Dyson make unbelievably great hoovers, right? They're fantastic, but they're damn expensive. They serve a very specific niche.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people who would not buy a Dyson, never, because
Yeah.
it's just too much cost, and that's not what their priorities are. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for great quality versus cost,
Yeah.
and they want to spend 50 quid on a Hoover, not 300 pounds, right?
Yes.
So you've got to choose your niche, and you've got to be very clear about who you're going after, and you've got to then go for that and make sure you really hit that audience's pain points and that serve that audience's needs. And that does mean, that's why one reason we're always on about focus. Like, you've got to say no to certain things. You've got to be very clear on your scope, and it means if you can do that, narrow the focus, get clear on the scope, serve someone really, really well, you become so much more powerful and so much more profitable. You become the thing that people know exactly what they need, and it's you. And
Yes.
that audience type is just got to be big enough, right? You can't go after 5 people in the UK. You've got to go after a big enough segment of the population. But you know, a big enough segment could be like, you know, 50,000 people in the entire population of the UK. That's a huge segment.
Exactly.
Right?
You probably wouldn't need that many customers. Yeah.
As long as you can get in front of them, then
Yeah.
that's part of your marketing strategy. How do I get in front of that 50,000 people?
Yeah.
But that brings me on to another point I really wanted to talk about with this, because we're obviously a very heart-led business. And I feel that it was a big turning point for us when we started really focusing on client need and really using that as our forefront positioning. It actually gave us more energy generally, because you start to see that your service, your product, whatever it might be, creates more impact. People love it more, and they're happier to pay you the money for it, because it really is serving a need, and you keep tweaking and adjusting it to make sure it is serving that need. If you've got good feedback loops, and actually you end up feeling much more, you know, a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment out of that, because you're bringing something, you're bringing huge value to people, and in some cases probably solving some huge problems for them. And I think I've got one example I could give here, which is an investor that we worked with for years, and I could see that she'd been, you know, going through her own struggles and everything with her own business and her own stuff, and eventually I got asking my market research questions, and I got to the bottom. And really what I got to the bottom of her pain points was that she needed money every month to support her. It was as simple as that. And we'd been doing an investment model with her where she was giving us money, and we were paying it after 18 months.
Right.
So I just tweaked it, and I just said to her, look, why don't we take your money on a slightly longer term? We'll pay you money every single month, and it will be this amount of money, and it will just come into your bank every month, no worries. And you know what, it was part of her wasn't sure about it at first, because I knew it was a need based on everything she'd said, but it wasn't in her belief system to think that was the right way to work. So she actually had to think about it to come back and say, yes, I want that, because her belief system was holding her back. But when she did come and say yes, because I could see it's exactly what she wanted, it was exactly what she was saying she wanted in her words, but she just hadn't realized it in her subconsciousness. And so literally, as soon as we started paying, 2 months later, I got the most glorious message from her, just basically just saying how happy she was, how much of a comfort it was, and just how life-changing it was to have this money every month. And I only got to suggesting that and actually putting it forward to her in a way that showed how it was going to solve her problems, because I'd listened to her and asked all the questions. And when I got that message, it was just a huge rush of energy. It's just like, wow. I'm like, this is it. This is why I do this. This is a wonderful feeling. And I would happily do this for loads and loads of people. And it makes it all worthwhile, all the strains and trials and tribulations we go through.
Yeah, brilliant. So how does this relate, if at all, to our own team, our own staff? Should we think about it from their point of view as well? Or what, yeah, does that even come into it? Because just as a quick example, you know, the people who work for Elon Musk, or who work for at X, for example, or at Amazon, you know, they know that the culture is you work damn hard, you work long hours, you work damn hard, and some people love it, but that is the culture of the organization. So it's kind of almost expected before they get there. Whereas other organizations, you know, other people, they kind of get a job, and maybe there aren't expectations. How does this relate to small businesses and working with your staff?
Absolutely brilliant point. Like, we all want to be able to attract top talent. I think one of the problems that small businesses have is they haven't yet worked out how to do that. They haven't yet worked out because they don't have the brand and the name to attract the people into the industry. They don't have the money to pay to attract people into them who are really, really top of their game. Because and that's just the nature of a smaller business. It's where we're at.
Yeah.
So it's even more imperative that we act like Google and act like the Silicon Valley people in terms of saying, we want unbelievably gifted people to come and want to work for us. Therefore, how can we serve their needs? How can we present our company in such a way that someone is going to look at it and say, I really want to work for them?
Yeah.
That's the environment I want to be in. So this, for me, it massively informs our job adverts, what we put out there. You know, for me, the job advert is not just about what we're looking for in the person. We don't just lay out, you know, this is it. We need someone to be this, and this, because that's all about what we need.
Yes.
Right? What we're selling during the entire process, we're selling what they're going to get, you know, and if they're the right person who's going to fit in with our culture and going to be a really good team member that fits in, and doesn't leave, you know, because they love it, then they're going to respond well to that. So we make sure our job adverts have a lot about our company culture, you know, what people get. And it might not be in the first job advert, we might just sprinkle it in there, but then in the first interview you start talking about it and saying what our team love about the company. You know, why do they get personal development sessions in our company? We're actually now doing a team gathering once a year, and a lot of our Filipino team, if it's a Filipino team member, we just, our most recent hire, we're saying to them, in October you're going to join us in Palawan, which is the nicest island in the Philippines. He responded so well today. He was like, that's amazing, I can't wait to come to Palawan. Like, you know, that sounds great. Or flexible working hours, or you know, you can choose how many hours you work, or if you've got a family problem, don't worry about it, we're totally leaning on that. In fact, how we structure our holidays is very different to how they are in the Philippines. We structure it based on personal days, and if you need time, you just take the time, but we just have an allocation of how much, you know, is a fair representation of time. And like, we're totally up for that. Like, family is huge in the Philippines, and they need to be able to feel good about just saying, I need to go look after my mum, she's in, you know, I need to take her to hospital, or whatever it might be. And we make that so clear through the process, so that by the time we get to choosing someone, we have got a pool of really top talent there who all want us and might be willing to go with us for a lower price that is affordable for us.
Right, because they're getting the you know, the non-monetary benefits of working in an environment which stimulates them, that gives them the autonomy, that gives them what they do want, as well as money, because money's they basically get money from any job, actually. So what are the other benefits of working for this organization? And also, when you're a small business, you can't attract top talent, because top talent are already with the bigger organizations that pay them way better. So we can't compete on price in terms of, you know, pay. We compete on autonomy, that freedom of expression, and that environment of working environment. So
I'd say as well, you want someone who is aspiring to be top talent, who wants to grow, who might be coming to you, you know, with huge potential, and you're looking for that magic potential that you can get, you know, potentially straight out of university. Somebody's just coming out with this massive drive. So a big part of attracting that is selling you know, if you want someone who's going to come in and who's going to be a go-getter and is going to grow into the role and is going to like turn your business into something else for you, then you want to show them that that's possible. So part of your job in selling the role to them is to sell them the future. Like, where are you going as a company? What's the options? What's the prospects for them? The career growth, the path. You might only be a team of 3 right now, but you're growing fast. And so therefore, you know, what's going to happen in the next 12, 24, 48 months, that person can think, wow, this is going to be exciting. This is a great business going a long way. So
that's buy into
important.
Visions. That's what leadership is. You know, people buy into someone else's vision, and that leader wins the hearts and minds of that person to want to join them. And people will join organizations that are going places. So effectively, in a way, position that vision is good.
I would say if you can get people to buy into the vision, and you can get them to buy into the company culture, and you can get them, and you can actually work out what your team's needs are, and you meet them, they will stick around. they won't leave.
Yes.
And that's so important, because every time you lose a team member, it's just so costly.
Yeah.
You have to train someone new, and you have to hire someone new. That costs money, and train them. And actually you lose probably profit in the meantime because the new person isn't doing as well as the old person. And that it's just really hard. So retaining the team is so important, and therefore keeping in touch with the teams, what they're looking for, and serving them is key. I think who was it recently said, I can't remember who it was, but they basically said for them, it was some big CEO, just basically said for them, it's all about service. Running a business is just being the manager, being the CEO is just about serving. I can't remember who it was. Let's see if I can remember after this
Well,
call.
there's probably someone like Simon Sinek or other, that because it is, if you want to be happy, someone who's depressed, if they focus on someone else and give to someone else, they cannot help but feel better about themselves. And we're here on this planet on our own would be rubbish. You've got 100 billion or 100 quadrillion, I forget exactly the numbers, but you've got more bacteria in you than you do have human cells, and without that bacteria you wouldn't be human, right? So if we're on our own, we're basically pointless, and we're going to die fairly quickly. It's about living and serving others for exchange, for growth, win-win situations, so that we all benefit. And ultimately that's it. So whether it's internally within a team or whether it's for customers, it's always about helping other people and other, whether it's animals or others, but it's helping others.
There's another aspect to this as well I've just thought of, that really, if you can nail this, it will massively help your self-sabotage. Because if you're primarily thinking about your service to others and helping others and serving others, and you're doing it from a place of self-esteem and realizing the value you bring, and you're doing it in this way we've just discussed for the last half an hour, you will make sure that your attention is generally out there and not at yourself. And when you do that, you move away from the fear mechanism.
Right.
Because if you're always thinking about the self, and you're always wondering about what you need, and then you're seeing how you're not getting what you need, and how it's not working for you, and it's all about the you immediately fall into the fear-based response, which is like, how do I survive? What do I need to survive? My needs first. Yes. And it creates a completely different approach to the world. So your fear response kicks in, you feel more stressed, and you start treating people differently, you start doing things differently, people aren't so happy with you, you're making decisions that are based on you rather than them, which means that you're actually going to upset people. You literally self-sabotage not just yourself and your happiness, but the entire business. So that concept of just it being fulfilling and satisfying to think like this, and to really make it your entire belief system, it's not just about satisfaction and fulfillment, it's actually removes the fear-based sabotage as well, which will help, going back to your manifest point, help you to manifest your business dreams. Because through that service, you will become and focus on others, you'll become less fearful, you'll be more generous, everything will run, everyone will be happier with you, you'll be putting out the right vibes, the right energy, and you will end up in a much better place that way. Even at a point you might feel like you're giving away more than you want, or not getting what you need at that moment in time. It's because you're not aware of it. You just be like, I'm serving. And the world goes nicely that way.
Exactly. That's a wonderful point to end on. So in summary, serve others for other people, and know that actually it's benefiting you, because you're not focusing purely on yourself, so you're not living in that fear state, which is so present for most people. Love it.
So there you go. What's important to your investors, and how can you be of greater service and value to them? If you want to delve into more about how you're working with investors to make sure that you are providing something that's great and really going to solve their problem, then check out our Raising Finance Formula workshop. It is online, and it's all about filling in the gaps and removing the financial block to doing more deals. Our next Raising Finance Formula is on Monday the 15th of July, and if you book before the 24th of June, we have an early bird discount. So if you want to join us for that, go to our website, property-strategy.com/RFF, to find out all the details. Now, this time next week, you're going to be joined by myself and Dom, and we are talking about the art of surrender, balancing tenacity with letting go when it comes to doing property deals. Wow, this has been some amazing stuff that we've learned over the last few years, and I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. So until then, have a great week ahead, and keep focusing on how you can better serve everyone around you.